Hello everybody, I'm Rebecca, and the biggest thing I wanted to do or not the biggest thing, but one of the biggest things I wanted to do in 2026 is make a YouTube channel. And I've never made videos before other than little small snippets on TikTok and maybe Reels. And these videos are mainly for my BPD supporters on Instagram, and I'm known as the BPD Baddie on Instagram. And I have certain supporters on there, certain friends that I talk to, and so these videos are for them to relate to and for BPD people to not feel so alone in their journeys, as well as bipolar with schizophrenic tendencies. I was diagnosed with BPD when I was 18, but I fought for that diagnosis for years before, and I dealt with a lot of the criterias and symptoms growing up all the way from the time I was 12 to the time I was 18, and so on and so forth after. I dealt with a lot of anger, a lot of outbursts, a lot of social isolation, a lot of isolating myself and I didn't know why, lots of depression, a lot of anxiety, and I really didn't know what was going on. And there came a day where I finally sat down with my mom and I said, there is a problem, there is something going on, I'm extremely depressed, I'm struggling internally, and it felt like torment. And that's what BPD really feels like to a lot of us, or to all of us who have BPD. And with that being said, I saw a therapist and I was misdiagnosed as bipolar first, which is the case for a lot of people with BPD. They'll get diagnosed with bipolar because they're very similar, and bipolar is overdiagnosed. And so a lot of people will, oh, she's doing all these things, so she must be bipolar, which isn't always the case. So I saw a therapist, and I was talking to him about my abandonment issues, which is one of the biggest criterias in BPD. And I was talking to him about my outbursts and my depression and my anxiety and the things I was dealing with in my relationships. And one of the biggest things that's hard for BPD people is interpersonal relationships. And that was really hard for me before I was diagnosed and before I was medicated. And he said, well, have you ever heard of BPD? And I said, well, no. And he started to name off the criterias, and I had every single one. And so I started studying it. I started reading I Hate You, Don't Leave Me, and everything made sense from the time I was born to the time I was 3, 4, and 5 to the time I was 18, because everything had made sense. I had clarity about myself. I felt more like I had an identity because my pain now had a meaning, and my struggle made sense, and I never had to question anymore what's wrong with me, or why do I feel crazy, why do I feel like I'm different from everybody else. But really, it was a mental struggle. It was, I don't like saying mental health problems, I don't like saying mental struggles, because really that's not what it is. It's a disorder, it's a mental illness. Our chemicals in our brains are different, they're imbalanced, but really BPD and what it is from the get-go is emotional dysregulation disorder, and that's what I had, was my emotions were not regulated. So another thing is that I said in the beginning of my video, bipolar with schizophrenic tendencies, and I do have both of those things. I was hospitalized in 2023 in a psych ward or mental hospital where they treated me for schizophrenic tendencies and a manic episode, where I was put on all different sorts of medications to bring me out of that manic episode. And then when I got out of the hospital, I was able to be re-medicated with the medications I really needed. So that is my mental health journey with becoming diagnosed, and I encourage you to find the help you need, because you are not alone, and you are not to be made to suffer alone or be made to feel like you are alone. And I am always here, and my DMs are always open if you have any questions, and I encourage you to find all the help you need and all the diagnoses, and being a BPD baddie, and finding the right medication. So I hope you liked my video, and I hope you watch in the future. But yeah, have a great day.